It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Boom, Miss Rusty. Wow, there went my voice for a second. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Monday morning, whatever that means, and wherever you are. Maybe it's Monday night, maybe it's still Sunday. I don't know. Time zones, they're all over, and I keep moving, so I can't keep them straight anyway. So welcome whenever you are, and you're probably not going to hear this live. Actually, I know you're not going to hear it live, so you might hear it an hour later, but it is 10 o'clock here on the East Coast of the United States, and I am here, and I'm not here by myself because I haven't done a show by myself for years and years and years. So that means I have a special guest, and I am going to bring on this special guest right here and right now. And that special guest I have today is Hamilton Steele. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How you doing yourself?
Man, I'm doing great. And I like the background a lot. It's pretty cool. It's a good way to do it.
It's my office.
It's your office.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. I have a buddy. I don't get into that. That's irrelevant to this. But so let's see. So you are the French is you. You are France. You are the representative of France. Forget Joan of Arc. Forget anyone else. We have Hamilton Steele. So,
well, I don't know if I'm really that much of a representative of France. Hamilton Steele started here in the United States, and I've had several stage names over the years, but Hamilton Steele probably is the most brand marketed version of me. And a lot of that is just it's the fucking United States. If there's one thing we know how to do in this country is we know how to market stuff. When you look at the body of work I've done, it's probably the smallest amount, but it is the name that's best known. But yeah, I've done a lot in Europe. I've even done some work out in Japan. I've been in a lot of different countries over the years.
So what's the work like in Japan as opposed to here?
Oh, it's a fucking zoo. It's well, okay. Let me be honest. Okay. When I got started, it was back in the early 2000s, and it was right in Porn Valley, Los Angeles.
Okay, like Van Nuys, somewhere out there.
Van Nuys, yeah. I was right in Canoga Park is where I was living.
Okay.
And that is Porn Valley because there's so many shoots that go around there. It was the hub of the industry. It still kind of is today, but after the internet and all that stuff, things have radically changed a lot. I'm probably amongst the last of a generation that officially graduated from porn university. You know, the age of the true porn star, that's over. Everybody's on the platforms like whatever fan sites, are out there. And there's a debate, are they really porn stars? If it's just you, your webcam, or your boyfriend, or whatever the case is, are you really a porn star? You're making money, but are you a porn star?
So what do you see with that? Being someone who's kind of got to experience both sides of it.
I liked it better in the old days. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the people are what changed the most.
The fans or the people that are involved?
Well, I'm going to say something controversial right here. I could give a shit.
Well, you're on the right place.
I could give a shit less about the fans. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody says the fans this, the fans that, and yeah, today they put the money more directly into your pocket, but the way things were back then, it was the producers that put the money in my pocket. And when I went into my own productions, and this is one of the reasons why I was out in Europe, because I got to stretch out the 20th century a little bit longer than most people could have. So I was still doing a lot of that DVD and whatnot, and it was the distributors that was putting money in my pocket. The fans were just a, I'll be honest, fans could be a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, and I think now that fans, especially with them paying you directly, have sort of an entitlement of knowing you more on a personal level, and
just a little.
And it's fucking crazy. It's insane what they think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I mean, just being able to reach out to someone directly is weird enough. I mean, when we were kids, we had to go through a lot of hoops and shit to be able to contact anybody. Now you just go and you can DM them on whatever, and
they have too much power. I mean, when I'm talking or interfacing with anybody who's a fan, I got to keep it in my mind, this could be an asshole that's going to, start causing problems on the social media sites. They can make up bullshit. They can create fake accounts. And nobody, tries to police fake information for a porn site. I mean, they could give a shit less. And It's funny because everything that I learned back then in the industry, the only transferable skills that I have are how to film, how to run a business, how to deal with talent, the production side. The fan side of the stuff, that goes back to when I was a fucking stripper, because I have to use almost the exact same skill set to dealing with fans. And it's fucking annoying at times. It's what it is.
So most people then, so I do see that comparison too. That makes that's a great fucking comparison right there with because like at the same time, like they some people don't understand that it's just a fucking gimmick. It's your fucking job. Like it's not, this is not,
it's not who
everything
I am.
That and it's hard to, it's so hard to like understand that there are so many people that don't understand that and don't understand that that weird I don't know, boundary, I guess. But I mean, like, even like in pro wrestling, it's like, everyone knows that it's fucking not, not real or whatever you want to call it. But it's still like, now it's like anyone can be like, well, what we really want to know is like what this person is doing in their home life, or, what they're doing. And it's like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? And, that's how there's like, go ahead.
It's fans by and large why I said I really don't care too much for the fans. It's because of that. I mean, I look at it this way. This is my career. I'm doing a job. I'm very thankful for my career because, I came at a time, and it's worse today. I came at a time when I left college. It was white males need not apply. Let's be honest. It's totally the fucking government's fault and feminism's fault that I'm a porn star and a pornographer. I'll bump that right on their lap. It was totally their fault.
How so?
Well, when I left college, first of all, I got stuck with the debt. Okay, it's fucking expensive. Okay.
Yeah.
And college was a rough ride for me. It really was. I grew up dirt poor. Okay, I grew up working class poor behind a factory, so I was quite used to having to kick a door down in order to get things done. You got to get up, you got to be tough. You just can't roll over and whine about it. If it's to be, it's up to me. Because that's what you learn when you grow up under those conditions.
Right.
And so I got my ass into college despite all the odds. And I never wanted to go to college. I wanted to be a mechanic. Okay, like my father. But government came in and they had fucked around with the whole apprenticeship program, this, that, and the other thing. And it kind of translated into I don't want to hire an apprentice to teach them anything. I want a full-fledged mechanic who doesn't have his license, so I don't have to pay him.
You don't have to pay him a license salary.
Yeah, you got it. So I was getting screwed. I ended up doing college. I started out in computer science, and that lasted for about 2 years. And I had the misfortune of actually sitting down and talking to the program department head, so I sat there, I talked with the dean on it, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to turn the fucking keys to the world over to you assholes. Like, I mean, somewhere between social moron and megalomaniac is a dominant culture in big tech. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's true.
No, that makes sense.
It's totally true. And when it comes to coding, I suck. I mean, I was really busting my ass. I mean, every single day I was just sweating, trying to get through it. It just not come naturally for me. So I switched majors and I started studying archaeology. So, it was kind of like, I guess, those who don't have a future run to the past sort of thing, something like that.
So what were you hoping to do with archaeology?
I wanted to be Indiana Jones. I don't know what else to put it. When you sit there and you talk to the counselors and you start talking about where you're going to go with your life, there's a whole lot of options laid in front of you. And I'm that generation where they always tell you, try to do something that you like for a living.
Yep.
Right. Which has got to be the worst fucking blooming darn thing you can tell anybody. Don't do what you like for a living. Work sucks, no matter what you do. Okay. Even in my line of work, I'm having sex for a living, but it can really suck some days.
Yeah, eventually, you're going to get to the part where, yes, it's fucking a job. It's nothing more than a job.
Yeah, it does happen like that. There's good days, but that's like that with any job. There's good days and bad days.
Yeah.
And the big thing about it is I just went out into the workforce and I kept, because there are other opportunities other than just archaeology. You've got, I got a master's, so you've got an education. And every job I was applying for, I wasn't getting it. It didn't matter how good my CV was. It didn't matter what I'd done in the past. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I mean, I'm 0 for 100.
And then it's like, why did I go to college? Why am I in debt and I can't fucking find anything?
Yeah, and nobody's waiting for the bills. I mean, everybody wants the fucking money, right?
Right.
So at one point, at the height of it all, I'm working for a lawn care company, trying to sell lawn maintenance packages. All right, now there's a career right there, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I went for another interview, and it was a brutal interview. I was there for 45 fucking minutes. Have you ever had one of those 45-minute interviews? Like, you're literally curling your toes inside your shoes so that nobody sees that you're nervous or anything. You're keeping that calm face that whole bit. And you're like, come on, I got to get past this.
Right. But then it's like, then once you do, then what happens? Then you're like, well, shit, I need a job, but this job is bullshit.
This was the breaking point for me, because I went outside. There was a girl that was in there for less than 10 fucking minutes. I heard her giggle a couple of times. She got the job. And I just about lost it. And that old school, gonna go kick down a fucking door, ain't take a shit from anybody sort of thing, that came out. And I waited around until the guy was done his job, the one who done the interview, and I confronted him. I mean, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
And I probably scared the living shit out of the guy, because that old school, grew up in a bad area. I probably came on a little bit like, I'm going to put your head through the windshield of your car here for a moment. But,
right.
He just calmly explained. He said, we get subsidies, kickbacks, and government pressure for us to hire women and minorities and so forth. I was literally told this. And you got to figure that this is 1999. It ain't that long ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And he told me, he says, if she can somehow feasibly do the job, she's going to get it. And just because I was mad. I was like, you know what? And who do you talk to? Do I beat the guy up for it? He's just doing his job. Like, I mean, where do you go with this?
Right.
And I was like, if you wanted to get angry with somebody because of the misogyny and all that, that's not my fucking generation. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I was born 1980. That's the generation prior to me. You know, the same fucking generation that's still in power today.
Yeah.
I never asked for anything except just be fair. Let the best candidate win the job. If I lose, I lose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, you go out and you fucking do what you gotta do. You fucking work, and you fucking whatever. Yeah.
So it was a Friday. I get a phone call from some buddies inviting me out to go to a bar. And I was like, I got no money. Okay. So I'm literally $20ing it with my landlady. I can't even afford to put gas in my car at this moment. Okay. So, you know, these were wealthier kids from better families. So they said, we'll pay for it all. Come on out with us anyway. You're fun. And they took me to a place where there was a Jack and Jill night going on at a stripper's bar. And Jack and Jill night, for people who don't know what it is, it's both men and women, right?
So are these amateurs then?
Yeah, it was amateur. The
okay.
place we were dancing, there was no licensing required, so anybody could get up on stage. So I got dared to go up on stage, and I was like, I'm not going up on stage. And my buddy says calmly, I bet you $100 you won't get up. And I'm like, I can't fucking see the bet, okay? I'm fucked here, okay? I don't have $100 to my name. So he finally said, if you get up on stage, I'll give you $100. I got up on stage. I needed the $100. And thank God for my freaking Italian background, because I got the Latin hips that roll. I got up on stage. I improvised a set. I had no costumes, none of that stuff. And women like that sort of stuff. They like costumes, they like the theme and whatnot. I literally just grabbed this other stripper's bath towel and I wrapped it around myself. And I had the DJ play the song, if you want it, here it is, come and get it. And I would give a flash underneath the towel. And at one point I turned around and there was 4 women lined up on their backs on the stage with $20 bills in their mouth. A whore was born that night.
So that's wild that, because I mean, most of the time, with guys, most of the time that are, working as a stripper, most of the time, us other guys that are out there, that would be there with the $20 bills. You had 4 women, $20 bills ready to go, and so gears are fucking turning.
I danced for the women right up until there's not a lot of work for guys to dance for women. You really should, when you're a male stripper, if you don't look like Chippendales, you're going to have some problems with the women. And women, you should get fucking danger pay. Because when you get a bunch of drunk women in a room together and some guy taking his clothes off, they can go kind of fucking stupid. So again, I still needed the money. I ended up dancing at gay bars. Yeah. And it was kind of funny because a lot of the dancers were straight men in the same situation that I was in. And
my best friend, same thing. And that's what pays.
Well, so, with the guys, you get your regulars.
Yep.
And they keep their hands to themselves. But the gay atmosphere when you ain't gay can kind of grate on you a little bit. And I kept looking at it and thinking, this is not a long-term career goal here. So I hooked up with this one stripper and we produced an amateur video and it sold really well. And
how'd you go about selling it?
Oh, back then we were able to sell it on eBay. You couldn't do that today. I mean,
that's how I got my money. My first little bit of money too was from someone on eBay sold me, because this would have been 1999, 2000, sold me. They were the little clips that were about 30 seconds long or so. And I think I had 70 hours of it. And I just would fucking burn it and flip it. And so in eBay, you were able to release it. And what did you get a title it?
Yeah. It was called Pissing in the Woods. Number two. There was never a part one. There was always a number two. The idea was to generate a lot of interest with part two, that we would produce part one. See, I was already thinking like a pornographer at that point. You know, the sex industry had corrupted me. And
I like that.
one thing just kind of led to the next. And I ended up in California. Lived out of my car for a while. Because, you know, when you're male talent, you earn a hell of a lot less money and you got to pay your dues, or at least back then you had to pay your dues. So I had to do all of the shit work, the gangbangs, the bukakis. My final big break occurred after several months that I got booked to have sex with a 400-pound woman in a hot tub filled with raw hamburger meat. It was
So the whole thing was raw hamburger meat.
the whole fucking thing was raw hamburger meat. It was vulgar. It was disgusting. The smell, to this day, I can close my eyes and I can still imagine that smell. It was so bad. And they just didn't pick a 400-pound woman. No, they had to go out and get something that was equally revolting. And I did it. After that, people, they talked, hey, the guy's wood is good. He can fuck. So I started getting hired. I changed the stage name at that point.
So that was like your fucking initiation of this guy is okay. Like if he can do this, he can do pretty much whatever the fuck we need him to do.
Yeah.
And he's cool.
Yeah, I changed my stage name. That was when I officially dropped using my dancer's name. The dancer's name went out with a 400-pound woman. You know, that was it. And Hamilton Steele was born. It was like, okay, I'm not doing that shit anymore. And over time, things just got better. You know, I ended up being able to get a place and I just kept making the videos. And that went on for about 4 years, almost 5. And I saw where things were heading. And there was a lot of craziness that was going on back then in the United States and in the industry.
Like what?
Well, we had come off of 9/11. And it was a weird time to be around. I mean, you know, we had the Patriot Act. We had one group of people screaming no war, kind of like a lot of the bullshit that's going on today.
Right.
Except back then, we weren't a nation of pussies. I don't know how else to put it. I mean,
it's a good way to put it.
We didn't just yak and, you know, we didn't backstab each other on the internet. We'd walk up and we would belch you one in the mouth.
Yeah, there wasn't the internet really to be able to do that. There was the internet, but it wasn't to be able to use shit talk or gang stalk someone.
Yeah, I think it hadn't occurred to the public. They could have done it because, you know, everything that we have now, we had back then in some other form, right?
Right.
I mean, we had social media. I mean, as I was famous for putting it, you got Discord today. We had IRC back then, right?
Oh man, bringing out the IRC, man. There's not a lot of people that fucking talk about IRC, and that was where you share fucking everything.
You shared everything, you know, and Discord's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the same thing. I mean, it's kind of funny how the interface is so similar, even. You know,
it worked. It simple and it worked. And
we got Twitter today. We had the PHPBB bulletin board forums back then. I mean, we got Facebook today. We had Friendster back then. I mean, it's just a version of the same fucking thing, you know. It's
right.
So it's nothing really new. And if you look at the content, it's the same bullshit. Somebody's stupid fucking cat, a set of fucking tits, what I ate for fucking lunch, stupid ass comments that nobody fucking reads, you know, and idiots who are so fucking desperate for attention, all they do is slag people off all day because it's fun to them. So, but the mentality to say, well, instead of slagging this person off on the internet, why don't I contact their employer and try to get them fired? Wasn't there yet.
Which is fucking crazy.
Insane.
I've seen that one go for shit. Seen it like go like, oh, we're gonna something you did on Twitter. We're gonna fucking get a hold of your employer. We're gonna put it on the news, and like you're fucking done.
And that's ultimately because I saw that stuff coming, right? Back to that day when I had that conversation with the department head of computer science.
Yeah.
It was just, you know what? I'm going to go back to Europe. My family's European. And I figured that because they're always a little bit behind, we here in the United States, we're too quick to jump on stuff and embrace things. Whereas back there, it was a much more controllable industry, at least from my perspective. And I ended up at one point the program director for a place called Le Beverly, which was Paris, France's last born theater. And oh God, I loved the place. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved Maurice, who was the owner of the place. I'm ecstatic that I managed to actually get my porn videos up on a silver screen, stuff that hasn't happened since like the 70s and the 80s. I mean, that was incredible.
Did you get the marquee as well?
The whole bit, the
Fuck.
whole fucking bit. I mean, it was great. And I got to make the kind of videos that not quite, but I got a taste of it. I would have liked to have been around in the 1970s with the big budgets and made those big movies like Deep Throat and spent $1 million. I would have loved that.
What would you have done if you had the $1 million back then to do a high budget film?
Oh, geez. I think I'd have to assemble my dream team first. And I would, without a doubt, I would do it in France because the creativity that comes out of that country, because it's a very artistic oriented society. They love artists and they don't have the same taboo or mentality towards sex that they have over here in the United States.
Right. And
I would have gotten Bridget Lay, gorgeous French actress from the 70s. Claudine Beccaret, another gorgeous woman from the 70s. And probably Barbara Moose. And then I'd skip over and I would get Marilyn Chambers and I'd get Sika. And I would bring them all to France. And I got this weird idea that I've had for a long time in my head, because there's a restaurant in the Eiffel Tower. And I'd like to make them all waitresses in the Eiffel Tower's restaurant. And I just think cinematically, it would be great to be up on the Eiffel Tower, fucking right there on the railing, the whole damn thing lit up at night, zooming in on that. I mean, that would be so epic.
right. And I mean,
Back then,
So-
you could do stuff like that.
but so now you could not.
No.
Why is that?
Well, we got the laws, we got film permits. People will stand there and not let you shoot. They gotta like put their 2 cents in. I mean, it's what it is. The demographics of the world has changed. Back then, if you and I've talked to the guys who filmed back then. Back then, as they put it, if you pulled out a camera and you were filming, the public was polite enough just to stay back. They would watch, but they wouldn't, and
It's not about them.
It's not about them. I actually tried filming something, out in public clandestinely one time. And we got up, myself and this actress, we got up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And we were in the 18th arrondissement of Paris, France. And it was just supposed to be a quick 10-minute thing. And bang, we were starting to film. And within inside of 3 minutes, this guy appears out of nowhere and he literally just pulls his dick out and he's trying to get the girl to suck him off while I'm fucking her.
Whoa.
And I'm like, buddy, and it's that sort of thing. It's that sort of thing. Things have changed a lot. And
I'm entitled to this. Someone is already fucking here. Like, I'm here. Well, why don't I just pull my dick out and you can suck my dick?
Yeah. It's like that.
Wow.
That's pretty rough, actually. That's the one thing I don't like about France is that if you're doing something, because there's a lot of sex clubs, they call them clubs are changiste. They don't call it swinging.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places that you can go to, the sex shops and so forth, and you can have sex there. But the general public, if they see somebody having sex, they just invite themselves in. I mean, the guys will literally strap on a condom, saddle up, figure they're just going to walk in and fuck the girl, tag, they're next. And I've got that American mentality, like, you just fucking stand there, pal, or I'll put you through a wall. And they don't like that.
And so what happened then with that? What happened with that guy?
We shut the whole thing down. We shut the whole thing down. I'm not going to put a girl into a position like that. I've always believed, you don't have to like talent, but you got to treat them well because they're the reason that you're able to pay your bills. And I'm not going to put a girl in a situation like that. I mean, you got some fucking damn loser just off the street who happens to be there figuring he's going to get a blowjob and get fucked now. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I don't do that. So we shut everything down and we ran like bats out of hell to Sacré-Cœur. And there's these little pathways up there. And we went at it there.
You were able to pivot and adapt and think of like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. I can go here, not just like stop and fucking freeze up. Like,
yeah.
So where'd that come from?
I didn't want to use Sacré-Cœur.
Yeah.
I wanted to use the grittiness of the streets that the 18th arrondissement of Paris is. But, what am I going to do? There's not much I can do about it. And the adapting, I pretty much learned here in the United States. I mean, when I got in the industry, we were at that cusp between filming gonzo and making feature films. And they paid exactly the same, but on gonzo, you could produce a whole lot more for a whole lot less. And from a talent perspective, you got paid exactly the same amount of money. So why sit around on set for 15 hours waiting for your turn when you can just show up and do a gonzo film, screw, and be out of there within 2 to 3 hours, right?
Right.
But
So
go ahead.
What's the difference between a gonzo and a regular film? Like, is it just like where it's like just can be anything or it can be anywhere and just this like
a feature
low
film,
budget?
A feature film is like the stuff that was in the 70s. You got a plot, something like a plot, whether it's like Debbie Does Dallas, you got a scenario or something to that effect. You've got higher production values behind it. It's a lot like a movie.
Okay.
Whereas gonzo, you walk into somebody's house, you get on the couch, here's my dick, there's your twat, and let's go at it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
And so then as far as going back, and I guess I would put this as like film study, I guess. I mean, how much of it was going back and watching stuff from, back in the 70s to, because, what's old is new again. And eventually it's all cyclical and going to come back and, find new ways to take something old and make it something no one's ever seen.
Well, one of my early mentors was a man by the name of Ron Sullivan. AKA Henri Pichard, rest in peace. And he was of that generation that filmed that stuff. And as he said, back in the 70s, what we had were actual men who went to film school, but for whatever reason, they didn't make it into the mainstream. And it was the same thing with a lot of the actresses too. I mean, they had actually studied acting and so forth. Today, especially today, it's just put the camera in the room and it's all about pee-pee pots. Okay, and will it ever come back to that? Probably not in my lifetime. Actually, where I see the adult industry going are some pretty dark places. And this is where the controversy comes in. I'm going to be retired, hopefully, by the time that bullshit starts. I've been delayed from my retirement. This is the reason why Hamilton Steele's back in the United States. This is the reason why I said, okay, it's time to put the moniker of Hamilton Steele back on.
Yeah.
But, I see the porn industry going to a very dark place in the next few years. And I don't want any part of that. As far as I'm concerned, when it starts going down that road, it's time for me to fucking hang it up.
What are you seeing?
We're going to see the normalization of kiddie porn.
So so how has that been able to sneak through so much and is not something that ends up getting flagged a lot? Do you know anything about how that, because
Yeah, unfortunately I do. Because of the way our business model, we produced a lot of custom videos for people with exotic flavors and taste. And a lot of that is because of the censorship that even when I was producing for DVD existed. Such things as if you filmed a bondage scene, you have to untie the girl before she gets penetrated sexually. But there are people out there that are willing to pay a lot of money to see certain girls, get gangbanged while tied up. So that's expensive. Paying me to produce something that you want to see of a decent quality. And I'm not talking about the shit that the girls on these platforms do where they're, a guy gives them basically beer money and they show a 20-minute or a 10-minute video of them, going at themselves with a dildo saying the guy's name. No, I'm talking, it's an actual production. And you kind of have to be in some place like France or Italy or Spain in order to be able to have the clientele that want that. Because like I said, it's expensive. How not to get myself into trouble? There are rumors when you associate with wealthy people. And the first thing I tell people, when you get into very wealthy people, they're very clueless about what's going on in the world. These people live in a world entirely of their own making. And there's also a lot of drugs, a hell of a lot of fucking drugs. Trust me on that. And there's a lot of perversion. So I don't want to say I was ever directly asked, but the conversation kind of come up, sort of like through a back door sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And some of the stuff I can point to is a little while ago, there was a young male, I don't know, maybe about 10, 12 years old, somewhere in that thing. I try to avoid looking into these issues too much because I don't want to know more than I know. Okay. And maybe
you already know too much.
Yeah. And I figure that, it's that old world Sicilian. My father was, as the saying goes, off the boat. I was raised by an old school Sicilian. So I've got that mentality. Don't go looking for shit that you shouldn't know about because it's not healthy for you. But he was a young male and they did a whole magazine cover with him. He was dressed, but there was an adult male that was absolutely naked with him. And it was all ushered in under the guise of this is artistic, this is artwork. And I'm like, yeah, if I produced anything similar to that, no sex, nothing to that effect, but I just put a child in a picture, even just a picture with a nude male, I would be in handcuffs inside of a week. Right?
Yeah.
And then it's the bullshit that's going on in the schools right now. Now, I'm not taking a side in this whole gender cultural war or anything to that effect. But as I put it to people, I said, take out the teachers talking about pee-pee pots and put me in there talking about them. I've got a hell of a lot of freaking experience when it comes to sex. I'm an expert in my own right. And I said,
10,000 hours.
Easily. I could sit down with a sex therapist. I filmed gay porn. I've had sex easily with more than 1,000 women in all types of scenarios imaginable, from gangbangs to orgies to threesomes to hanging upside down in a tree and doing a DP. I mean, I've done this all, okay?
Yeah.
So I could talk about these things, and I could talk about them because I'm an educated person in a very clinical, rational manner. And I'm like, if I did that, how long do you think it would be before the parents came in and law enforcement came in and carted me out and I was totally destroyed all over the internet and labeled as a child predator and so forth? No one would tolerate me doing it. Yet, this is going on.
And yeah, I mean, it's
It's
very
the-
much, looking into the normalization of any of that shit, and just
And what bothers me isn't that this is going on. To me, you know, when you get around the wealthy people and how they act, this doesn't surprise me. What bothers me are the parents, because the outcry against this is so small that I'm totally amazed by this. I mean, you know, this shit's going on and you do nothing. You know, you see a couple of videos at these meetings or whatever the case is that they have, but by and large, and even the faculty, I sit back and I'm like, you know, this shit's going on. You don't even want people mentioning what's being taught in the classroom because it offends you during these meetings, yet you continue to, you know, this makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever, because I look back at my childhood and I think to myself, my parents would have gone through the freaking front door of the school with baseball bats and taken out the freaking teacher. That they wouldn't give a shit what your gender orientation, identification, sexual preference is. They wouldn't have tolerated that crap.
right. And yeah, mine too. I'm a couple of years younger than you, and it's the same
Yeah.
shit. And I think that now, I think it's more about, if they speak up about it, they're getting fucking canceled. And
Yeah, they're scared.
you know, it's just that fear of seeing what's happening to anyone else that's talking about it. I mean,
So
yeah, go ahead.
you're willing to sacrifice your children because you're too scared to get off your ass and do something, you know? And I sit back and I say to myself, you know, how about changing the scenario? Your child is in the house and it's on fire and they're asleep. Are you going to stand there and say you're too scared to run into the place? Or are you going to get off your fucking ass and run in? It's not about being a hero. It's about, this is your kid, for fuck's sakes. Are you going to get in there and do something or not?
Right.
You know, I mean, I would go through the freaking damn front door for my freaking damn dog. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think actually that's the part that bothers me the most, is I look back and I go, do you know how many fucking people would run through the front door of a burning building to save their dog, but they'll stand and wait for the fire department to show up before they run in to try to save their kid? I mean, just let that sink in. And that's the world that we live in. And that's why I said, I'm really looking down the pipe and I'm saying to myself, we're going to see the normalization of this. And they're going to come up with some sort of pseudo fucking argument. Well, it's this, it's that, and the child can consent, et cetera, whatever.
And yeah, it's I mean, yeah, it's not too far in the future. I wouldn't even say, like, 10 years is crazy long. I'd say within 5.
Yeah,
5. Yeah, 5 years. 5 years might even be pushing it. And I mean, yeah, it's fucking hard to speak out about it, especially if you're someone who doesn't even have kids. Like, what fucking skin do I have in the game? I don't have any kids, but like, dude, what the fuck are you doing over here? How are you letting this go down? And like, my one of my other shows I do, like, we've fucking got in like over our heads with finding shit out about this, and you know, had people fucking come after us. And I mean,
well, I'm a pornographer. Nobody really exists to me until their 18th birthday. You know, I've often laughed with my business partner. It's a lot like a Star Trek transporter. You just suddenly materialize in front of me on your 18th birthday.
right.
And so when they give these arguments, I hold solid everything. Are they legally aged adults? No, then I don't want to hear about it. Okay, until they're adults, it's not my business at all. But at the same time, I've also looked at it from a slightly different point of view. What happens when the 14-year-old who's been put through this program turns 18 and shows up at my door looking for work? Here's something controversial. The quality of talent has also changed a hell of a lot since the early 2000s.
As far as too many people that shouldn't be there.
Nutcases, absolute fucking nutcases. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, you've got people, we've always been a little on the, you can't be normal by any means and able to do porn.
Right.
Male, female, whatnot. But, back then, I wouldn't say we were normal, but we were more rebellious than crazy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's kind of the same with pro wrestling. You guys just get paid better than we do. And, but I mean, it's at the same time, yeah, like too many people, it's like you can't say no to letting these people in. There's not a like a filter of who, there's no like gatekeeping or whatever you want to call it, to be like this person, like not everybody has to be let into it. Like some people, it's like this person, like it's going to cause some trouble down the road.
Yeah, like when a girl shows up in my doorstep, first thing I do right now is I make a copy of her ID. One, I never had to be that diligent before, but now before, hello, great, show me your ID, bang, and I make a copy of it. Okay, so I now keep copies of whether I film them or not. All right. The second thing I got to do in the course of a conversation with them is I got to put in my mind, am I going to have problems with this individual down the road? What's going to happen? I've got to get to know potential talent more from just, hey, you look great, you got a nice set of tits on you, to what's going on inside your head. Am I going to have weird phone calls, weirdos showing up, et cetera, am I going to have people doing drugs on my set, whatnot? And I don't want any of that stuff, and there's that. With regards to the males, oh God, I don't even know where to go with males. I mean, it's a total clusterfuck.
As far as what?
Young males are really difficult. I mean, I was a 20-year-old guy at one time. I think you could have drove nails in with my pecker. Young guys today, their attention span is shit. Their wood tends to be shit as well. I mean, I'm obligated to find guys in their 40s that look half decent, because it's so hit and miss with the young guys. And even if they can get an erection, whatnot, you can't get a good scene out of them. I mean,
as far as what?
They lack masculinity. I think that's the best way of putting it. I mean, if you're gonna be a male porn star on the straight side, you have to be masculine at some point. And It's not about putting a woman's head through a wall. And believe you me, if in this industry, if we ever did put a woman's head through a wall, A, she agreed to it, and B, she's compensated very well for it. Okay, I mean, that's how it works in this industry. I mean, we just don't fake things. I think it's a lot like wrestling. I heard the saying, it's not fake, it's fixed.
Right.
It's the same thing in the porn industry. I mean, this person, for example, wants to see a girl get punched in the face and a nosebleed. The conversation would go like this: look, if you allow somebody to belt you one in the mouth, it's going to be $500 extra in your pocket. It's one hit in the face. And if you got any broken nose, teeth or whatnot, you're going to be covered, and there'll be a bonus for you, because you got to give a bonus. You're going to have time off work.
Yeah.
And the girls that are up for it will say yes, and the girls that are not up for it say no. This is very much a capitalist environment. I mean, this is the money. This is what we want.
Right. And yeah, if you want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Here we go. We got
There
you
you go.
covered.
But with the guys, it's not a question of whether or not they can do something like that, because obviously there's going to be specific guys who can do something like that and guys who can't. I mean, but the males have absolutely nothing that they bring to the table. I mean, I could replace one of them if their pecker works. I can literally replace them with a fucking dildo. I mean, that's how much energy and heat they bring to a scene. And what are you going to do?
So what do you think that's from?
I don't know.
There's my friend has a theory about that, because if what a lot of kids are into now, they would rather, watch someone play video games or open a present than play video games or or open a present themselves. And then he was saying that with porn, like what it's going to turn into is going to be someone watching porn and then watching that person watch porn, then watching that person watch porn, and watching someone else watch porn. Just this whole, like, getting further and further.
I can see that. I can totally see that. I think we're kind of in a perfect storm here. I think it's worse here in the United States than it is in Europe. And Europe is slightly worse than it is in Japan. I think it's the falling testosterone levels that guys have these days. I mean, it's kind of sad that you think about it, somebody who's in their 40s has got close to twice the level of testosterone that somebody in their 20s has.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like it was more than half that it's dropped.
Yeah. I think that's a big factor, I think, in it. I think it's the cultural bullshit that goes on. I think it's probably also the fucking diet. I mean, it was bad when I was here the first time. It's gotten worse. I've never seen so much obesity like I have this past couple of years.
And with it being more encouraged,
normalized. So many people who are obese, and I mean really obese. I mean, that's I thought it was bad when I saw a person back, in 2001 who had size 54 pants. Today I'm seeing people who've got size 89 pants. I mean, this is pretty freaking big. And
that's only 20 years.
20 years. And where do you go with all of this? And I think that's a lot of that. I think that a lot of these young males have had their heads fucked with a lot since they were children. I think it does have a lot to do with the fact that, when I grew up, I had a male figure in my household. These guys have never had one. I think there's a lot of stuff that's going on. I think males are ultimately the canary in the coal mine. If you look at a society collapsing, I think it's males who pay the price first. But historically, we've always paid the price. I mean, we're the ones who get killed in war. I mean, we're the ones who, it's not about male right activism. It's just about history. I mean, when you look at the world, men have been the ones that have literally crawled and clawed and dug our way out of the freaking prehistoric Neolithic Stone Age to where we are today. And we've done that the only way we've ever done it, and that is with this. Whereas today, men don't seem to have this. And, we somehow praise that this is a good thing.
Yeah. And, and so then that just makes it easier for that to happen and makes it that much more reinforced that it's fine to, or even praised to be that. But then, you ask.
Weakness is praised today. It really is. It really is praised. Being a doormat is praised today.
and then you wonder like, and then like the amount of sex that fucking people that in their 20s are having is so low. And
Yeah.
it's, I mean, there's not like how much, respect does someone have? Like if we were 20 years ago, trying to do that, acting like people are now in their 20s, like, dude, we'd be fucking laughed off. Like
Yeah.
trying to pick up on anyone, it's like, no, fuck, you're a little, you're worthless. Like, what are you bringing to the table? You're a
Yeah.
joke. And
Yeah.
I mean, I still think that is the way that a lot of, women or other guys are seeing this with the guys nowadays. It's still like, dude, you're a fucking joke, but like it's
Yeah.
being pushed as like, you're so fucking great. And then everyone's just like, well, no, you're still kind of weak. And, people don't
Well,
want weak people.
up until I think nature doesn't want weak people, and I think we're going against our nature. As I was saying to a colleague the other day, I said, this here, just a human fist, has solved every fucking problem that has ever occurred in human history, recorded or otherwise, up until 5 minutes ago. Whereas what has caused every fucking problem, the source of all problems, has been this here, the fucking mouth. And what I see today is a lot of fucking this and not enough of this. And take a look. I mean, you want to look at it politically? How much fucking corruption have we got going on now? Massive.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody's held accountable for jack shit. And they're all in on it. By the way, politically, I'm an anarchist. Okay.
Yep.
I don't support any political party. I don't vote.
Yep. Me neither. I mean, and even that is like I mean, like you're saying you don't vote is
That's an act of rebellion, right?
right. Yeah. And I don't know why more people don't do it. It's like the saying, like, it's this wrong. I'm not even going to vote for one. I'm not playing your fucking game. I'm not, like, if I'm voting, I'm playing your game.
I'm not playing the game. I'm not, getting involved in it. It's, choosing between two fucking evils. And,
Yeah.
It's just puppetry. They're all fucking working together.
Right.
But look at the corruption that's going on. It's because these people aren't scared. They're not scared of the public anyways. Look at the media, and I don't care which media you listen to, CNN, Fox, social media, or whatnot. 200 years ago, when people lied, or probably older than that, but in the ancient world, when people lied, they cut their fucking tongues out of their head. Today, these guys get big fat fucking blooming paychecks for it. And they're not scared. They're not scared of anybody. And this is the bullshit that goes on. It's constantly, because nothing's going to get better for anyone until you start standing up for yourself. And that's what porn has taught me, and that's what my life has taught me. I mean, my whole life is predicated on this. I gotta stand up for myself. I didn't get what I wanted in life. Life seldom gives you what you want. I can fucking guarantee you, I never filled out in my freaking damn, grade school teacher, what do I want to be when I grow up? A fucking porn star. I never wrote that down. But I learned to adapt. Okay. I followed the money, and, I've got people that I'm responsible for that, because I operate the business, they can pay their bills. And I look after a lot of people for that. And I could have been more successful. I could have been less successful. I'm where I'm happy at because I stood up for myself. I'm very much in control of my own situation. And a lot of people just don't do that today. And I look at men and I'm like, guys, this is not going to get better to the young guys until you learn to get a fucking backbone. And I'm sorry to say, about the only way you're going to get a freaking backbone is somebody's going to have to freaking damn put your head through a wall.
Yeah.
Life's going to kick you around.
And it's a lot of people who've never been fucking punched in the face before.
Yeah.
And, like getting punched in the face is not that bad, but you have to know that getting punched in the face is not that bad to be able to have that. I know what it's like get punched in the face. Sometimes you're gonna get
Yeah.
knocked out, but like you got to be able to fucking understand that it's a punch, and it's it's
Life
not
does
a
that.
hypothetical.
Life does that to you. Life makes you strong. It's Nietzsche. Life makes you stronger by beating the shit out of you. It's how we work as a species. And big tech is in command right now, and I'm going to take a shot at them. I've done a few of their parties with them and whatnot, and I'm going to say not all. I wouldn't make a total blanket statement like that. But it's surprising how many of them look like Bill Gates. I mean, I'll say this: if it wasn't for Bill Gates' money, he's a fucking incel. Blunt. This is a guy who couldn't get laid in a whorehouse. I mean, Mr. Like that and whatnot. And, he's not a visionary or anything to that effect. He's just a fucking thief. Okay. I'm that generation who knows you're a fucking thief, Bill.
Right. Yeah.
And he got away with it. Again,
yeah.
nobody did this.
Yeah. And now he's praised, and everyone is like, okay, well, if this guy can do this and look like an incel, like, okay, well, maybe I can too.
And I'm always going deep about Bill Gates, because I'm like, buddy, you're like what, the second or third richest fucking bastard in the whole world, right?
Right.
Go get some fucking plastic surgery, you butt ugly fucking bastard, okay? Liposuction. You can pay for a personal trainer. Anything. Like, I mean, have you looked in the fucking mirror?
Yeah.
I mean, you shifty-eyed bastard, okay? I mean, I'm not saying you got to look fantastic all your life, but there would come a point in time that I would turn around and say, look at, man, I've got like $20 billion over here. Maybe I could get some liposuction off of me here and whatnot, because Bill Gates looks like he's pregnant.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of looking inward in people to better themselves. It's always some external force that's fucking causing whatever's going on around them. And there's no self-accountability.
Yep. It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah. And if you're always thinking it's someone else's fault, it's not your job to fix it. Yeah. And it's real easy to say, oh, well, I'm just this way because, someone else fucked me over. Like, no, you're that way because you're not fucking changing anything.
But, the public also empowers these people. I mean, when you look at Bill Gates, do you know how many fucking women would freaking bloom and darn sell their soul to try to get close to him so that they could get a little whiff of his money? Do you know how many fucking guys are, looking at Kim Kardashian and they're praising her ass and whatnot just so that they could get to that? And I mean, we kind of do that as a society. We go to these same fucking damn pieces of shit and we worship them. And that in turn empowers them. And they in turn don't take that worship and do good for us. They take that worship and they fuck us over.
Use it against us.
Yeah. They do. They really do. And that is something that you find out, like when you get in around these really mega wealthy people. Like I said, they're totally clueless about how we live. But one thing that seems to be an undercurrent in all of them is they somehow believe that they're better than everybody else, that they're almost like a species that's separate and distinct from us. And that's kind of scary when you think about it.
Then people buy into it.
And people buy into it. And it's a predator's mentality. And unfortunately, the public really is livestock. I mean, they're farm animals. They're not even prey. I mean, I don't know if you hunt or anything, or if you've ever hunted, but animals that are preyed on don't make it easy for the predator. I mean, they got the defenses. It's the barnyard animal that goes from, gorging itself at the feeding trough to the slaughterhouse. And that's the mass public. I mean, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, just sitting ducks or whatever you'd call it.
Unfortunately, I think things are going to have to get a lot worse before people start to say it's time to turn into the fight. And I think we're in store for a rude awakening. I mean, we're talking about the school shootings that are going on now, and that's a terrible thing. But how bad is it going to be in a few years? I think it's going to be a lot worse. I think people are going to wake up one morning and they're going to say, what the fuck did I do to my body? I'm still not happy. It's going to be the drugs, because let's be honest, they're now pushing the fucking drugs left, right, center. You don't have to go get a fucking, your fix anymore at the end of the street. You can go get a prescription.
Right. Real fucking easy.
Real fucking easy. And it's culturally accepted, I've never been against somebody smoking pot, I want to smoke, okay, but never before, I think, in human history has it ever been a freaking career choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's
It's
people who go around 24/7 stoned.
not going to help out.
Well, ironically, I knew a guy back in the day by the name of Brian Sherwood, and he went to jail for having caused an accident that resulted in a baby getting killed. I'm not going to say he was at fault or whatnot. I'm just going to say he was part and parcel to it, so he went to jail. But from what I remember of Sherwood, he was a guy whose philosophy was that he had to smoke pot for everybody else's benefit. I mean, where some of us guys would take Viagra on a set, he was one of the guys that would go out and smoke a freaking doob or whatnot so he could be stoned and be able to do the job. And it's just in the back of my head, you were probably high when you were driving, and that probably contributed to the accident. And he was one of these people that, in my opinion, and I don't want to talk bad about the guy, but in my opinion, he saw smoking pot as some sort of freaking career choice. And I'm seeing a lot of that today. A lot of that. I mean, it's not a question of moderation. It's just that I can't deal with life. I got to be stoned.
Right. And that's when it's usually when you should notice that it's a sign, like when it's like, I can't do it unless I'm fucking in this mindset. And it's like, well, then, okay. Yeah. And then it's again, looking in at yourself and not be, it's like, oh, I got to do this because fucking everything's fucking shitty. And like, well,
and you live in a first world nation. How fucking bad could it be? I mean, fuck's sakes, go to Syria, go to Afghanistan. Okay. You want to talk about life sucking? I mean, sucks a whole lot worse in those places. Yeah, what are you bitching about? That you didn't get what you want?
Yeah, it doesn't, not too hard of a life.
Yeah, well, this is just it. I mean, but this is society, and this is what's going on. And I think what's going on is that we're looking at the equivalent of the collapse of the Roman Empire being played out today, and nations like Russia, which still have strong masculine components. China, let me tell you, they fucking roar with laughter at the bullshit that we're saying. That's going on. Japan, I mean, as twisted as fucking Japan's foreign industry is, like, I mean, I lost my appetite for sushi in Japan because I watched freaking damn octopus pulled out of a woman's ass. Okay,
that could do it.
Yeah, that did it for me. I was like, you want to go out to dinner? No, I'm gonna pass. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, but no. And they're still very masculine over there. They've still got that samurai code that goes through them. And the women, and this is a big thing too, the women want the men like that. And maybe this is my advice for young guys, because I find, I've been called a Neanderthal and all kinds of stuff because, well, let's face it, what I do for a living, right? I mean, and I'm not exactly what you would call a discreet person when it comes to my masculinity. Okay. I do enjoy lifting heavy objects. And I always say, it's the caveman that gets the girl. And it's very true. It's not about putting a woman's head to a wall or abusing her. It's about being that strong, decisive, resilient male figure.
Yep. And I think a lot of women still want that.
Well, they
are telling, society is telling them that they don't, but they still want that. And a lot of men or whatever fucking are like, okay, well, this is what they want. They don't want you know,
Yeah.
the strong man anymore. It's bad to toxic masculinity or whatever the fuck
Yep.
trigger buzzword kind of thing is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you watch how there's the big disconnect between
Yeah.
men and women now. And it's like, I don't know why, but we all
Well,
know exactly why, but just don't want to say it.
it's the general overall thing. I mean, if you look at the swingers community, because I have a little bit of contact with that. It's sex, right?
Right.
Swingers 20 years ago didn't have things such as the cuckolds, the bulls, the hot wives, that whole sort of thing. These were just fucking perverted people that got together that enjoyed group sex. Now I've always found swingers to be a bit of a pain in the ass to begin with, because they can be very fickle, and they got a whole thing about, don't let anybody know, the dirty secrets, whatnot. But for the most part, they were just perverts, which you could deal with today.
Yeah.
Because I've gone to the swing clubs and so forth, not looking for pussy, but I've gone up there, and it kind of amazes me how many men don't fuck their wives anymore. Instead, they're looking for bulls to fuck their wife. And how many men are, engaging in gay sex, and they think they're straight.
Yeah. It's that I'd rather watch someone else open up presents than me open up a present myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay. Opening presents is fun. Opening presents is fun, and gifts are fucking awesome.
Completely.
So is fucking. And
completely. You're missing out, pal.
Yeah.
Your wife's got a hot snatch on her, you're missing out. But, and you get these guys, and what they want to do is kind of strange too. It's like they want to be the cleanup boy, and they don't think that's gay. And I'm like, whatever you want. I mean, turn you on, whatever floats your boat, pal. But how can you sit here and say that you're a heterosexual male when A, you don't have sex, and B, your sexual activity is limited to you jerking off and eating sperm out of some other guy's sperm out of your wife's cooch?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a little different.
How do I take this? How do I take this? And in today's world, well, he identifies this and he's that, whatever, how do you not see this? And I kind of laugh about that, because the porn industry back in the 70s and the 80s, like I said, I got involved with one of the last porn theaters. During the day, they have guys come in, and it has got to be the most homosexual place that you'll ever be, is a porn theater, because these guys are giving each other blowjobs. Somebody shows up, a trans whatever walks in, they're banging the individual in the ass. I mean, it's very gay. There's a lot of gay sex that used to go on in these porn theaters, but the film was heterosexual. If you change the film to a gay film, they tear the place down. Somehow they still see themselves as being heterosexual, because there was straight porn on the film, on the screen, but they're having gay sex in the audience. And it's the same thing with the swingers over here. Somehow, because they've got a woman, because they're married, and they're not sucking the sperm directly out of a guy's dick, they still see themselves as straight. I'm like, okay, whatever. I film it. I don't care. Whatever floats your boat. I'm just trying to make money off of it, right? But
right.
Yeah, it's like that, and a lot of that is going on, and weird fucking world we live in, right?
It is, and we're somehow still in this world, and we're still somehow existing, adapting, and trying to figure out what the fuck's going on with anything, and somehow we fucking get to do what we want to do, and it's all okay. But some shit's fucking odd. Some shit's fucking odd, and it's okay to fucking question things and be like, wait a minute, like this is kind of weird. And you can't make fun of fucking anything anymore. It's like that's a whole fucking hard thing, is like,
Yeah, humor's
you
gone.
like,
Humor's gone.
yeah, like finding any like hypocrisy or any sort of absurdity about anything is immediately met with fucking you hate whatever, or yeah, you can't fucking be like, well, man, that's pretty fucking funny. But now it's like, oh no, it's because you fucking hate them. Like, no, it's because there's humor in this. Like,
It's funny.
it's
Yeah,
funny. Like,
I agree. We've lost the ability to laugh at each other and to laugh at ourselves. And that's really sad. That's really sad, because personally, I laugh at myself every freaking damn day because I do some stupid shit, and you
right.
gotta laugh it off, right?
You have to. Like, laughing at yourself is another thing that, yeah, like you're saying, it's somehow that's gone. You can't laugh at yourself because everything you're doing is somehow okay and it's right. It's like, well, sometimes you fuck up and do dumb shit. Sometimes you shit your pants. Yeah. And you're like, ah.
Yep. And but we don't do that anymore these days. You know what I mean? And that was one of the good things of life, being able to laugh at yourself and being able to poke fun out of each other. My business partners, they do it with me all the time. I mean, they're behind the scenes, and I'm always the flamboyant out there talking to people, whatnot. So I give them ample freaking damn material to poke fun out of. I mean, they could do a comedy act on what I have to go through on any given day, okay, and the stuff that I've done. But yeah, we've lost that, and it's really sad. And I question just where all of this is headed. I mean, as far as I was concerned, acceptance of people and what their sexual preferences were and who they were and all that, I think that fight for me, I can honestly say, was probably won by the 90s. Were there assholes? Well, fuck yeah, there's always going to be a fucking asshole who hates somebody for some reason. I mean, what are you going to do about it, right? But I think for the most part, I mean, we stopped caring. I mean, I don't care if two men want to get together and play house. That's all the power to you. You deserve to be happy, or at very least, you deserve to get screwed over in a divorce by a lawyer, just like the rest of us, right?
Yeah, and it's very much just like, do what you fucking do. You're just another fucking person in the world. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, and it's like, and you say you don't give a fuck. That means that's a hateful thing to say. Like, I don't give a fuck what you do. Like, well, you don't fucking hate, you don't like these people. Like, no, I just don't give a fuck what they do. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Well, fine by me. This is just it. I think almost all of us, we're caught up more in our own lives. We don't have time to worry about other people. And
you shouldn't have time to worry about other people.
I'm a fucking pornographer. I make my living by sticking my dick in orifices on other people. I mean,
right?
Who the fuck am I to judge anybody? I mean, and I film the whole spectrum. I mean, if there's money in it for me, I am the most non-discriminating going. I mean, my discrimination is, well, if I film this one today, I'm going to make X amount of dollars. But if I substitute this person in this scene in it, I'm going to make this. Geez, which am I going to go for? This every time, right?
Yeah.
And that's the nature of how I look at everything. I look at it from those lenses. But the other side I look at is, where's all this going to, and how's it going to come back and impact me in the next year? And this is the sort of stuff, and weird fucking world we live in.
That's a good way to put it. And I think that's how we should let it end here. And so, so where can people find you on the internet or wherever?
All right. Steelehard.com, STEELEHARD. The site's there. It's mostly working. It's still in progress. It's my Paysite. A lot of the videos that I shot during the Schmovid situation when we were all locked up, I've been out there, so I'm not at my physical best when you take a look at me. And I figured I'd put them out there because fuck it, it's real. We all went through it at the same time, okay? You shut down my gym, you shut down my access to good food. I wasn't exactly what you would say in the prime condition that I am right now. So that's my site, steelehard.com. It takes Bitcoin because I don't want to have to deal with the censorship. I've got a podcast that's on X videos, and you can find it by just going to xvideos.com and type in Steele Hard. Okay. And I should warn everybody, there's a reason that it's on X videos, and it's because it is so politically incorrect that it's unreal. I mean, it's a lot like South Park. I mean, we don't pull any punches on anybody. We say whatever the hell we want to fucking say, and it's totally unscripted. Even the topics, we start off in one direction and we go someplace else. It's just me and my business partner, Ghost, who wears a great big huge ski mask when he does it, because he likes to be behind the scenes, not in front. And it's that. So you got there, or you could find me on Twitter. Again, Steele Hard. Okay, so I'm an easy guy to find. Just look for Steele Hard. That's my brand. And boom, that's it.
Hey, yeah, awesome. Well, hey, had a great time talking with you. Getting to know you.
It was a great conversation.
Doing this shit. Yeah.
You know, when this is all done and whatnot, and you put the links up, you're gonna have to make sure that you give me the link to this.
Absolutely, will do. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. And yeah, we'll talk soon. All right, you too. All right, Buck Hamilton Steele, man, that guy was cool. I fucking enjoy. We got to fucking talk about real shit that's going on. So, where else can you do that? I guess his podcast. You check out his podcast because he doesn't pull punches. I don't pull punches. We still have this. We still have this. So thank you, everyone, checking out this show on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN. And there's other shit, but you guys know it. You've heard it all on the other podcasts, and I can't think of it now. So thank you so much for listening and getting to hear. If you're listening, you can go watch it on YouTube or Twitter, not YouTube or Twitter, YouTube or Rumble. And yeah, you guys, thank you so much. And that is the show, man. Boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Ernest! Ernest! Ernest!
Yes, Pee-wee.
You brought the snacks, right?